Drag Racing Fan, live once again Thursday night, as usual, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's Between the Slicks, where we talk it all concerning drag racing. No matter who they are, what class they're running in, what sanctioning body they're running in, we'll talk about it right here on Between the Slicks. Definitely going to be heavy on the PDRA tonight, but we will talk about some NHRA points. I had a very interesting conversation with President Glenn Cromwell while at Epping, and whatever else you may want to talk about. Sam, good to have you on watching tonight. Thank you for chiming in. I appreciate that. Folks, later on the night, our guest, let me bring up the card here so you can see. We're going to have John Montecalvo on. He's also known as Machine Gun Monty. Johnny Placino likes to razz him a little bit and call him BB Gun Monty. So I've got to ask him about that relationship with the Placinos. It's been a long one. They like to have fun, but they definitely do go at one another. But he's a champion in the class, and I find it very interesting with having him on tonight. There have been some serious developments for Long Island drag racing, which is great, and we're going to hear about that right here on Between the Slicks. Looking forward to chatting with him on that and knowing more about what is developing in that part of the world for racing, a part of the world that has lost so much in racing, and it seems like they're going to claw back something in the world of drag racing, and I think that is spectacular. So, John, we're going to have him on later. What do you want to talk about in drag racing? Well, I know right now, for me, I do want to mention the conversation that I had with Glenn Cromwell. I'm at Epping, New Hampshire, there for the new NHRA New England Nationals, and it's on Saturday, and things are winding down. All the classes have run. I'm just walking around trying to get whatever photos I can and interact with whatever drivers that I can. And I notice Mr. Cromwell, El Presidente of the NHRA. And hey, Glenn, how you doing? Hey, you remember me? I interviewed you on Competition Plus Power Hour, Guy with the Shades. Hey, how you doing? And he's like, yeah, I do remember you. How you doing? And we had an interesting, brief conversation. Overall, speaking with Glenn Cromwell in that moment, and then when interviewed him on the Competition Plus Power Hour, which airs on Tuesday nights, 9 p.m., I think the NHRA is heading in a positive direction. I really do. Does that mean specifically for every class it's a positive direction? I can't say that. But I would say overall, I think it is moving in a positive direction. And there are people in places of authority that seem to get it. What were some of the things that we talked about? Talked about getting the brand, getting the sport more exposure. I mentioned to him about, hey, man, great job. Glad you all put NHRA qualifying at night on YouTube. And he was like, yes, we needed to do that. Well, that's things we have got to do. He mentioned myself. He's like, look, you've got a brand. You clearly have a brand, the shades, the hat, the sleeves, the beard. Our drivers need to brand themselves and put themselves out there and expose themselves more often. That's something that was spoken of with Wes Buck in his show on Wednesday, that the drivers have got to showcase themselves more and more and more. Do exactly what Clay Milliken is doing. Do exactly what a Stevie Fast Jackson is doing, and be out there in front of people giving glimpses into life beyond the track of whatever mundane thing may be going on. He said toward the end, though, and I think this is what really prompts me to mention the conversation and highlight that overall, I think the NHRA is moving in a positive direction. He mentioned Norwalk, Ohio, the upcoming NHRA national event there at Summit Motorsports Park, that there will probably be 32 to 36 nitro cars concerning Top Fuel and Funny Car. Going to be a lot of cars trying to make 16-car fields. And he stated that is 32 to 36 stories, and we don't have enough people to cover them all. I think that statement is a statement that definitely gives insight to the heart of the leadership of the NHRA, at least right now, that they realize there is more out there than John Force. Don't get me wrong, love John Force. That there's more out there than a Leah Pruitt. Nothing wrong with Leah. There is more out there than the big teams and the big names. They recognize there is a Doug Foley. They recognize there is a Corey Lee. They recognize that there is a Terry Haddock. They recognize that there are regional teams that are making up this show more so than ever in nitro class racing. I think overall, the NHRA at the leadership, at least with Glenn, I think there's some positive things to take away and realize and recognize, and it's potential that a brand new day of drag racing with the NHRA is ahead of us. And I hope that it's the best days that we could ever ask for or expect. I hope it's managed in that way, and we experience that as racers, crew members, fans, media types, wherever you are on the spectrum of drag racing. I definitely hope that's the case, because I truly believe how high the NHRA goes, they allow the rest of the sport to go that much higher. If they cap it, they're capping the entirety of the sport. So, for all of those that you may bag on the NHRA, not that they do everything right, but what organization does, I definitely think we're looking at brighter days ahead, and we're going to see that, and I believe we're seeing that with the leadership itself. Slammin' Sam, my co-host on Competition Plus Power Hour, he chimes in. Slammin' Sam is willing to show up. Show up where? Norwalk? You need to be there at Norwalk. You need to be there at Norwalk. And if you're not, folks, just go check out Real Pro Stock, the limo guy on YouTube, and you'll see the shout out and you'll know what I'm talking about. James, he chimes in. As a person who has had underdog favorites in both NHRA and NASCAR, I say amen to that. There needs to be more than big names in the sport. Look, a sport is made up of iconic people and lesser-known people, no matter what the sport is. There are so many cogs in the wheel. There are so many no-name people who allow an event to take place and happen. I want to say this. I think there is a story with the ticket taker. I think there is a story with the safety safari. I think there is a story with track owners and promoters. There is a story with the first-time crew member, and there is the story with a crew member that's been out there for so long that they can't even really turn any wrenches anymore, but they're still crewing and they're cleaning the car off. There's a story everywhere. There's plenty to tell. Plenty to tell. And again, the conversation I had with Glenn is they recognize that they don't have enough people to get all those stories. So we'll see what that works into for individuals like a Slammin' Sam, a Monday Morning Racer, or a Darren Williams Jr. with American Hot Rod Entertainment, or Drew's Nitro Images, some of the younger guys that are coming up right now, or young gal like the Retro Rebel and the great interviews that she does. You can check her out on YouTube and Twitter as well. I feel like there are people wanting to get these other stories and wanting to showcase them. Just like tonight, having John Montecalvo on, a champion, a winner, a guy who has done it all, a guy who has dominated, a guy who has struggled, a guy who's gone through those cycles. And what other shows having John on? I don't know. I know he's going to be on right here, and that's what Between the Slicks is for and is all about. Folks, I'm going to take a quick break. Between that break, chime in. What do you want to talk about? What is fascinating to you right now in the world of drag racing? And right after the break, we'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about it. And before long, we'll have John on and chat with him with all things drag racing right here on Between the Slicks. Hero Soap Company is a veteran-owned establishment that produces all-natural, essential oils-infused soap that is sold with a portion of the proceeds supporting other veteran groups. Hero Soap Company. Heroes supporting heroes. Be a hero yourself and buy a bar and let freedom clean. Let me bring up this comment from AGM West AGM. I assume that's the way you're pronouncing it there on Facebook. Hello, go big Jim Dunn. Man, how cool is it? Old Jim Dunn. I got a great little photo of him. I wish I had it on the computer to pull it up for you, but it's on the other one. It's in my Instagram post from the first day at Epping, my top 10. Jim Dunn, at his age, still working on that car, still going to the line, motioning Jim Campbell in to do the burnout. How cool is that? At his age, he's still out there getting it done. And from what I have been told by even guests we've had on this show, like Jonna Dunn, that he can outwork some of the young bucks on that team. That is just cool. Susan Smith, you are so right. Well, thank you. I like it when somebody agrees with me every now and then. I'll take it. I'll take it. He says, now, I love the new model kits being released, retooled from the past 60s, 70s. It shows drag racing will always be in our hearts. Look, there's nothing wrong with nostalgia. I do think there are things from nostalgia that can carry us forward, but we can't live on nostalgia. So be careful. But nonetheless, it's good to see a recognizing of the past and honoring it and remembering it. That's why I hope that the NHRA will work something out. Look, if NASCAR can do it, why can't the NHRA? If a field of 36 to 40 cars can do throwback schemes, I know not all of them, but a majority of them at the Southern 500 in Darlington, why can't the NHRA figure out with, well, 3 16-car fields how to have a throwback weekend? I want to see Sox and Martin's throwbacks on Pro Stocks. I want to see Shirley Modowney throwbacks on Top Fuel cars. I want to see Tim Gross throwbacks on a funny car. Bring it. Bring it. And I really think, as I said on Tuesday night, and I've said it at other times, Epping, New Hampshire is the place to do it. It's a throwback facility. It's the place to have a throwback race. Would love to see it. Sam, he chimes in. I'm really enjoying watching Pro Stock right now. Awesome competition and cool storylines. Also love seeing Terry Haddock make it to the semis. I agree with you, Sam. Honestly, all across the board, and we'll roll into talking about the point situation right now in the NHRA and the professional classes. How can you not like the drag racing product that is on the strip? And I would say not just NHRA, but look at PDRA, Pro Nitro, especially Pro Boost, Extreme Pro Stock. Look at what's happening with the Midwest Drag Racing Series. Look what Wes Buck is doing with the World Door Slammer Nationals as I'm wearing the shirt tonight. Look, drag racing is on the rise in its totality, I think. But to your point, Pro Stock, that final round, I was in the stands taking photos. Boom, the lights light up with Aaron Stanfield winning and Greg Anderson. The numbers, they ran so close. And I looked at the guy next to me. He looked at me. He's like, wow, that was a drag race. But it wasn't just for Pro Stock. We said that for Funny Car. We said that for Top Fuel. The racing has been great so far in 2021. If you're complaining about the racing in 2021, you just secretly hate drag racing and you're a troll and you need to shut up and get out. That's what I think at this point right now. Like, it's been good. It's been really good. Yes, so good to see Terry Haddock get a round win. And let me clarify something. I think there was some confusion. A lot of folks were chiming in and saying, hey, what about ZMAX? If you remember, Terry Haddock did get past round one at ZMAX under the 4-wide Nationals configuration. He was the runner-up of that quad, though. So he didn't win it outright, you could say, though he advanced. The caveat, if you will, of what happened Sunday, Ron Capps blows, and Terry Haddock gets Ron right at the line, and he is the outright winner of the duo right there in the pairings of that ladder in round one. And yes, he was able to have a bye right into the semifinals. But what was critical, that team, which is a hardworking, good team, he doesn't have all the personnel like a John Force Racing or a Don Schumacher Racing or even a Foley Lewis Racing. He doesn't. He's got some good guys, and they got the job done, but they were thrashing to get that car back up there just to put it in the beams according to the rules and advance into the semis. He had to do that. It wasn't just, boom, go straight into the semifinals. He had to put it in the lights for second round, break the beams to go on to the semifinals, even though he had a bye run. And kudos to Terry. Kudos to Terry. He gets out of the car. Joe Costello interviews him, and one of the first things he says is, I want to apologize to the fans. I wish I could have gave you a full pool, but we don't have the parts, we don't have the pieces, we don't have the manpower. We had to do what we had to do to go to the semifinals to face John Force. And he had a good run against John. Not enough, but a good run. There is an interview with Terry Haddock on the Monday Morning Racer platform. You can see it as I talked with Terry. He definitely was ecstatic. And if you're looking for wheels for your hot rod, muscle car, or race car, check out CircleRacing.com. That's his company now, and they're producing billet aluminum wheels that are like old school look. Go check them out, CircleRacing.com, after the show, not right now. Very quickly, before we bring on John Montecalvo, let's talk about those NHRA points. Right after we mentioned from American Hot Rod Entertainment, Throwback Weekend in Epping or Seattle 2022. Let's get hashtag started so NHRA can see it. Dude, let's do it. Everybody, let's start it. I'll put it out after the show. I'll figure something out. Let's start it. Hashtag NHRA Throwback Weekend and tag the tracks. Let's do it. Let's get something going. Let's show the power of social media. If the NHRA can get a title sponsor, Camping World, and it all be worked out, started with Twitter, we can definitely get a throwback race. All right, let's talk about the points real quick. I'm a points guy. I'm the guy that's looking at points after the first race. And a lot of people go, why you do that? Like, whoever won, that's how they line up. Well, whoa, just hang on. Depending on how they qualify, and if there's a national ET record or a national mile per hour record, points can shake out in some different ways. So, Steve Torrance, yes, he's obviously leading by 606 points. Second, Antron Brown with 444 points. Then it's Billy Torrance, then Sean Langdon, and then in the fifth position, rounding out the top five in NHRA Top Fuel, is Brittany Force at 341 points. Steve is definitely beginning to walk away a bit. My individual that I'm most surprised of where they sit currently, it's got to be Leah Pruitt. 267 points for someone that last year, if you followed along of my national events in review, I said, keep your eye on to win the championship. And until she had that incident in St. Louis where the car split in half, I think she was going to be a major player right down to the final race in Las Vegas. But right now, they are struggling. In fact, look at Epping. She was really handed one. Justin Ashley driving once again, left on Leah Pruitt, just as he leaves on so many in the Top Fuel ranks right now. But the car laid over about half track, and Leah was able to pick up the round one win. Definitely surprised that Leah is sitting at the 10th place on the board in points in Top Fuel. Funny car. Some would say right now, and they would heighten, oh, John Force is back. Oh, he is, but John Force is not dominating. I don't think we're there quite yet because he's not leading the points. Bob Tasca still leads the points at 495 points. John sits second at 480 points. Then it's J.R. Todd at 450 points. He's having a far speedier year in 2021 in the performance area than he has in years prior. Robert Height sits fourth. Fifth, Matt Hagan, representing the first Don Schumacher car. Ron Capps is sixth, I believe. Paul Lee, where has he been? I really expected him to run more races this year, and yet he has not been out. I know they had some serious issues with the Gator Nationals, blowing a lot up. I wonder if that seriously impacted afterwards the races that he was going to attend and be at. Paul Lee sitting 15th. I'm surprised on that one. By the way, Terry Haddock, 10th in points right now after some round one victories. Pro Stock, Greg Anderson, the old man in a class that is seeing a youth movement, and not just a youth movement of one or two, but a true youth movement. Greg Anderson is leading the way. And second, Aaron Stanfield, notice, KB Elite. Then it's Mason McGahey, not Chris, Mason McGahey is third. Fourth, Derek Kramer. Fifth right now, Erica Enders. And I am surprised by my buddy, Kyle Koretsky. He's ninth right now. I really felt like he'd be higher up in the points. Capable young driver. The car is there, just for whatever, it has not gone his way as he would like it to on Sunday each and every time, and he sits ninth in the points. Well, real quickly, Rob, he chimes in. The quickest and fast car don't always win. PDRA, Extreme Pro Stock, is a great example of that. Man, you're right. The quickest and the fastest car does not always win. The lights matter. Sometimes it's whoever lets go of that brake, lets off that clutch. That is clear and evident in the case of Richie Stevens. And shout out once again to Beaver Motorsports. Mark Beaver qualifying for the first time ever in NHRA Pro Stock, and not just because there was 16 cars at the show and that was it. No, they showed up, and in a session which hardly anyone got down the track, they qualified ninth, and they shaked out to being qualified 11th and got past round one on Sunday. Good job driving Richie Stevens, and congratulations you to Mark Beaver and Beaver Motorsports. Well, folks, we're going to take a break, and we're going to bring on our guest tonight, John Montecalvo. Let's take a break. Which one? We'll hear from Powerbuilt Tools. Powerbuilt Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out powerbuilt.com for Powerbuilt Tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase. John, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you, Lee?
Man, doing great. Talking drag racing, and now talking drag racing with you. Look, I definitely want to get to the Long Island stuff. That intrigues me, honestly, the most. But before we get there, let's give a little bit of rundown on who you are and what you've accomplished, because it's been a lot, man. You've been around for a while now in the IHRA days, now PDRA, ADRL. So give the rundown of your accomplishments as far as championships, some wins, things of that nature.
Lee, I don't know what's going on here, but you're breaking up a little bit on my end. But,
oh, boy. Sorry, man. I don't know either. Let's see. I can try. If you're in the chat, chime in if you can hear me. And is it still choppy for me, John?
I'm hearing a little bit here and there, Lee. But anyway, as far as my accomplishments, I've won the IHRA championship, ADRL championship, PDRA championship, set a lot of records along the way, and, still out there having fun.
Still out there having fun. How's the sound quality now? Any difference?
You're still breaking up, so I really couldn't hear that.
Oh, man. So this is what we're going to try, John. I'm going to remove you from the studio and come back in. Try that for me. Sorry, folks, technical difficulties. It happens. We had a little bit of a sound check before the show, and things seemed like they got to be worked out. Things do happen. We'll let John come back in. Maybe it will resolve itself. And thank you to many of you, Rob, AGM West, others, for mentioning that you hear things fine. So we'll give it another go here with John. What about now, John? Can you hear me a little better?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Well, maybe we got it worked out. So, all right, this year so far, or let me back up. 2020, COVID sidelined you and your gang for a little bit. Most understandable. Come back at Darlington. And 2020 was probably a year you might want to forget. Talk to me about the trials and tribulations of 2020.
Well, it was very difficult here, obviously in New York, with the restrictions we had. So for us to travel, when we came back, we were supposed to quarantine for 14 days. Of course, we kind of skirted that a little bit here and there, but it wasn't fair to my employees. They were playing by the rules, and nobody was traveling. Everybody was doing what they had to do. So it just wasn't fair to them for me to be on the road and then come back and not quarantine and, try to get into my office. So what happened, basically, it ended up being just too much stress for me to be traveling and trying to work at the same time. So we decided, we'd go to 3 or 4 events, and that's about all we did last year. I think we did 4 events total.
Right, not that many events, and a bit of a struggle on track, not just off track. I remember you coming back, and y'all were very optimistic, and then got a little further in the season. It's like, man, what is going on? But coming to 2021, you've had some nice moments on track far as qualifying and racing. We'll take a look at a few in a moment, but it seems like you've been able to figure something out from 2020 to 2021.
You're right. 2020, I'd like to forget that. I think we lost. Well, we definitely lost first round every race that we went to. So in the winter, we took the car back home here. Believe it or not, that car has never been in my shop back here in Center Riches. So we took it back here and went through the car from one end to the other, found some things that we were doing wrong, and basically put it back to the way it was when we picked it up from Jerry Haas. And we're back on track again. We've got a good car again.
Well, speaking of that stellar and good car again, let me bring up round 1 from Galot, which was a win for you over JR Carr, who arguably has got the baddest hot rod in town right now.
Many years, world champion.
John, that was a big one. 412 to a 406. Got it done.
Yeah, it was, anytime you run up against JR and Frank and those guys, they're going to go fast. So I only really had one choice. I had to cut the tree down. And it was one of those days. I think I had a 30 light. I was on time. JR was definitely a little bit late. But we got it done. It wasn't the prettiest run that we ever made, but it was enough to get the win light.
So, to me, I find it interesting this year in Extreme Pro Stock. There seems to be some different players than there were last year. It seemed like last year it was clearly Johnny Placino, JR Carr, maybe a little bit of Chris Powers. But this year, Elijah Morton has won. Stephen Boone, has been there, and Chris Powers. And Boone was leading the points at one time. And it's fascinating who's been performing, who's been nipping, and where Johnny sits right now as defending champion. So talk to me about the strength of the competition right now in Extreme Pro Stock in the PDRA. It seems like it's even stepped up from last year.
To me, Lee, it's like the Pro Stock of the old days. Back then it was anybody's game. The championship was always decided at the last race of the year. And that's the way it feels right now. We've got good parity. You've got good drivers out there. Everybody's got pretty good power. I think right now JR's got a little bit more than all of us. But on any given day, any of these cars that are on the field can take the number one spot. And at any time, anyone could win a race, as you obviously said. It's been quite a good mix this year. I'm enjoying it. I think it's the strongest our class has been in probably the past 3 or 4 or 5 years.
Well, that is definitely good to hear. Very quickly, Todd Yuntz chimes in and asks, did Tom Lee drive John's car last year at some races? Did you have anyone else in the car at any other time?
Yeah, Tommy definitely drove at a few. He was more or less, he tested for me on Thursdays when I couldn't get there, but he also drove at one event and did an excellent job. Did a very good job with it. He's a good driver. Tommy's a good driver.
All right, good report there. So I was not at Kentucky, but again, get past round 1 in Kentucky and talk to me about Beach Bend. I have not been there yet. What was your take on the PDRA going there for the first time and racing in the Bluegrass State?
I think it was a great move on their part. We really need to expand the PDRA some. We need to go to different tracks than what we've been going to. And quite frankly, as a racer, I'm tired of going to the same tracks. So it was a breath of fresh air to go to Bowling Green. Nice facility. It was kind of a throwback, which I liked. And they did an excellent job prepping the track. The lighting was good there. No complaints. I'd love to go back there again next year. Hopefully we hit some other new markets. Maybe something in New York. I'd love to go to Leicester, New York, and Patrick Budd's doing a great job up there with that track. But we need to hit new markets. I think we're getting too stale right now.
All right. I agree. More new places, the better. Different markets, rotate them. I'm not a big fan myself of, except for like some crown jewel events with like NHRA and NASCAR, rotate the tracks. There's a lot of great tracks that should get a national event or a big race, but maybe not every year. I think they are definitely out there and they deserve those shots for their fans and their market to experience it. So are you referring to Empire Dragway? Did you say Leicester?
Yeah, definitely. Empire,
yep.
Back in the old days with IHRA, we used to pack the place. Up in New Hampshire, great door slammer fans up in that area. Hey, I'd go back to Canada if we could. Of course, we can't get across the border right now. But we had some good races up in Canada, up in Grand Bend. And, the fans up there, same situation. It could be snowing. They'll still sit there and cheer. I don't know. We really need to hit different markets than what we've been hitting. We got to stay with our consistent tracks, of course. Galat, VMP, those are our staples, Maryland. And we always do very well at those tracks. But I definitely think that with the PDRA, we need to move into some new areas, to expose what we have, which is a great product, to some of the people that are out there that have never seen it.
There you go. Hey, Chris Powers, one of the competitors, chimes in and says, Sonny's power is stepping up. And you also run those engines from what I understand. Is that correct? So talk to me about Sonny Power and Mr. Leonard and what he meant to you and why that choice in the Mountain Motor Pro Stock world.
I was with Sonny for a long time. I think I probably hold the record for anybody being with one engine builder over the period of time that I was. And, it still bothers me. I'm getting a little bit choked up now talking about it. But Sonny was more than my engine builder. He was my friend. And, there's a void out there now. We miss him. But I got to say, his son-in-law, Junior, and his daughter, Kelly, his wife, Frances, they're really stepping up over there. They're doing a lot of R&D. And from what I can see, we're going to be in very good shape this year with them. And Sonny would be proud of what they're doing. And I guess you probably heard that we've got the memorial race coming up at VMP, July, I believe it's 17th. So I'm really looking forward to that. Sonny deserves to have something in his memory. And, hey, he was the king of the mountain for a long time. Great guy.
Well, was talking about the engine program and what you're running. Let me bring up this photo of your beautiful Extreme Pro Stocker and talk to me about the car, the chassis, how long you've had it, and all in all on your hot rod?
That car is a 2017 Jerry Haas car. They did a phenomenal job with it. The car was a fast car from day one. We picked the car up, went to Indy. There was a PDRA race at Indy. I went to the finals at that first race. First time I ever drove this car. So it's been a great car, all the while we've had it. Like I said, we kind of got out in left field with it last year. We were just trying some different things, which I guess if we were going to try anything, last year was a good year to try because, with the COVID and all, like I said, we only ran 4 events. So we did a lot of experimenting last year, but we're back to a box stock Haas car now. Great car. PRS suspension, Adam's doing the shocks on the car. Ram clutch, of course. Goodyear tires on it. So, we've got everything we need. We've got all the ingredients. We've got good power. And it's been a great car.
I tell you what, you mentioned Adam Lambert there. Mark Beaver, by name, mentioned PRS and Adam Lambert and really gave them a lot of credit for making the show in Epping because they were really, really close, but they'd qualify 17th. They make the switch, boom, they're in the mid pack of the qualifying order. So Adam Lambert, PRS, why is everybody gravitating towards that product? What is distinguishing PRS from all the other suppliers that may be out there?
Well, for one, and this is probably the main thing, Adam is there. He's there to help us. And to run a pro stock car, it takes a team effort. If I need Pat Norsher on the phone from Ram, in 2 seconds, I can have him on the phone and he'll be answering any questions for me. Same thing with Adam. You need Adam, and within 5 minutes, he's in the trailer and making his recommendations on what we need to change. So that's what it takes, especially with teams such as ours, PDRA teams. We don't run like the NHRA teams. We're not out there testing and wearing stuff out every week. Basically, it's an expensive hobby for us. It's a professional class, but we only run 8 or 10 races a year. So we don't have the notes that we need and the amount of runs that we need to really be, to get the best and the most that we can out of these cars. So it has to be a team effort. You need people like Adam, that's there at the races to help you.
All right. Speaking of at the races, I know Adam was there. I know you were there. I was there for my second PDRA event, Norwalk, Ohio, going back to the famed Summit Motorsports Park, PDRA for the first time. I know you had to race there in some IHRA days. So how did it feel to be back at Norwalk and slamming the gears, man?
It felt like being home, quite honestly, Lee. That's the premier place in the country as far as I'm concerned. Nobody does it better than the Beta family. They are positively the best of what they do, promotion-wise, maintaining the track, maintaining the facility. Just a beautiful place. And, yeah, I've got a lot of good memories there. I've won a lot of races at that place, won the Sunoco shootout. And, we, back in the day with IHRA, I think at one time, we used to race there the weekend before Indy, and I think at one time we had like over 1,000 cars there. We had more than what they had at Indy the following weekend. So it's a good market. Unfortunately, with PDRA, the weather really threw a monkey in the wrench there, and I think it would have been one of our better races, no doubt. But weather definitely scared everybody away, and it was a nightmare. I feel bad for PDRA. I feel bad for Tyler. That poor guy worked his butt off to get that race in, and he got it done.
Yes, since following the PDRA, man, if you are having a drought, you just need to schedule the PDRA and you're going to get out of your drought. No wonder Tommy doesn't have any hair. I mean, it's just, it's just like weather wherever the PDRA goes. It's mind boggling.
It's been crazy. It really has. I think it's 17 races in a row or something. It's been affected by weather. That's absolutely incredible. But, hey, they stay with it. They've got a dedicated team over there. They really put their heart in what they do. And I don't think anybody can do it better than them. I really don't.
Yes, to all the PDRA staff, thank you. You do an exceptional job, and I am proud to wear anything PDRA. Well, Norwalk, round one was interesting. I had Elijah Morton on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he gave his side of it in the round win. He was wondering if something was wrong with your brakes. I'm going to show the clip, and then I want to hear your side of it. Well, if everybody is still with us and awake, what happened?
Well, it wasn't really a brake malfunction. It's like Elijah's one of my good friends there. You know, we have a great time at the races. So when Elijah and I race, you really never know what's going to happen. I have to be ready for Elijah. He has to be ready for me. So I don't know. I went up there and I just decided that I wasn't going to put the first bulb on. And I guess he pretty much decided the same thing. So we had a little battle going in, just putting the first bulb on. And Elijah is the expert at taking 6.99 seconds to put the second bulb on. So I went in, I gave him the first bulb, put that on. He went and put the second. And I did an Elijah on him. I took 6.99 seconds to put the last bulb on. But hey, no matter what he tells you, I was the only one that hole shotted him that day. He won every race by a hole shot. He did a great job. If we would have had the car, I don't know, it would have been a different story. But we made a bad call. You know, what happened there is the track got cold, and we probably should have made some changes. But hey, all in all, we had a lot of fun up there. You know, Elijah and I, no matter who wins or who loses, we always have a laugh up on top end, and that's what happened. He got the best of me.
You mentioning that you and Elijah are good friends, been racing a long time. Johnny Placino, he likes to give a few jabs in there with BB gun instead of machine gun. You know, I know Chris Powers, he's obviously known for opening his mouth, maybe inserting foot occasionally from what others have said. But y'all are a great group of characters out there in Extreme Pro Stock. And it really seems like that you all are in it for one another and for yourselves, having almost like these brother rivalries to try to move this class forward. Where do you think the class is right now, and where would you like to see it go? Because right now it's pulled by NHRA, PDRA, ADRL. You know, what's the future of this wonderful drag racing class look like, in your opinion?
Well, you know, it's very difficult with these 3 series, you know, and I don't know, it's almost like there's a place for everybody. You know, some want to run quarter mile, some want to run 1/8 mile, and that's great. You know, for our friends down in Texas and our friends out in the Midwest, you know, Kenny had that race last weekend, and that's good for them. They can't feasibly travel to the East Coast where most of the PDRA races are. The NHRA is still the big show, and it's quarter mile. A lot of people want to do that too. But the problem is that we don't have enough cars right now. The good news is that there's new cars being built. There's a lot of cars that are sitting home on jacks, and I'm not really sure why they are. We probably have a total of 27, 28 cars. But as you know, the same 10 or 12 are always showing up. So we got to get those guys back out, and I don't know what it's going to take to do that. But the good news is with 3 series, we're getting a lot of exposure for the class. And there is new cars coming out. I don't think we could run 3 series for any length of time. Something's got to give. I don't know what, and I don't know what the answer is, the ultimate answer. But right now, we're probably in a pretty good position with the 3 series because, like I said, there's a place for everybody. Everybody's got their own wants and their own needs and where they desire to race. So far, we've had full fields, wherever we go, which is a great thing. And like I said, it's spurring interest in the class. How long this lasts with 3 series, I don't know. I mean, if we could get more cars out there, we could maintain it. But right now, I'm just enjoying that. I'm not going to chase any points this year. What I'm going to do is race where I want to race, whatever area I want to race in. Right now, predominantly it's been PDRA, but we definitely have some NHRA races coming up. And I'll probably try 1 or 2 ADRL races if it fits into my schedule.
You definitely couldn't hear me there because I forgot to turn my mic on. So we'll take a break here in just a few moments, and we'll dive in on the Long Island, New York, and drag racing situation. Definitely want to hear about that. But great to get your take on the class for sure, and I'm glad that you've got that optimistic look. I mean, I prefer Mountain Motor over the 500 guys. Love those guys too, but there's something special about Mountain Motor for sure compared to them. So definitely, I hope brighter days and the brightest days are ahead. Well, folks, look, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back, and we'll learn about drag racing on Long Island. Looking forward to that. Yes, you can now get Monday Morning Racer swag. Shop SpeedShark.com, Team SpeedShark. They can hook you up with Monday Morning Racer apparel. Not only Monday Morning Racer apparel, we're talking about apparel for Johnny Placino, Camry Caruso, Frankie the Madman Taylor, and more to come soon. Check them out at shopspeedshark.com or at your next race at the Speed Shark trailer. John, all right. I'm in the Extreme Pro Stock PDRA group on Facebook, and I get these little blurps every now and then of you or on your Facebook personal page itself of talking about drag racing on Long Island. And then a couple of weeks ago, I see, we're having our meeting, and it's like, guys, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And hear a little like a story of a grandma and like wanting the track or what. So, dude, give us the rundown or the history of like where was Long Island drag racing? How did it go away? And apparently, it's coming back.
Well, what happened on Long Island, which happens in a lot of areas, the land became almost too valuable to have a racetrack. So the 3 racetracks that we had 3 within, I don't know, half hour, 20 minutes, maybe the most from my house. And we had an 1/8 mile track and 2 1/4 mile tracks. National Speedway was probably the most well-known one. And the land became valuable and the property got developed. So out near us in Calverton, there's a site. It's 3,200 acre site. It's an old Navy base that got turned over to the town for $1, the local township. And it's got a 10,000 foot runway and a 7,000 foot runway. We've approached the town several times in the past. This has been an ongoing thing for probably 12 years. We lost our last track, which was in West Hampton, Long Island Dragway. We lost that, I guess it was 17 years ago now. So basically it started with a Facebook message to the supervisor for me that, hey, we need to bring racing back here. And I sent her a couple articles on tracks that were being built across the country. And I think it was like 11 o'clock on a Saturday night. I got a message back from her. Yeah, I agree. We need to talk. So, I took that as, well, all right, here we go. She called my assistant. And I've heard that story before from other people that have been in her position. But she was real and she was serious. And it's unbelievable how we got this far with her. It helps to have a board that recognizes the benefits of racing, what it does for our youth, what it does for our community. So we had that meeting where they voted on it. And We got a great operator, Pete Scalzo. He's been wonderful, and he's got a good record with doing this all across the country. So he definitely did a good job presenting himself to the board. We had Johnny Placino up there. We had little Billy Madden, 7 years old, with his junior dragster. He parked it on the front steps of Town Hall. So it was an interesting day. And yeah, getting back to that lady, you're sitting there analyzing all these people that are coming up to talk. And we had, like I said, little Billy. We had Johnny explain, and Johnny did a good job. Johnny said, I was little Billy at one time, but here I am. I've won, I'm running a professional class. I've won a few championships. There's probably nobody closer to their father than him. They race as a family, so he brought in the family aspect. But anyway, we're sitting back there and we're watching all these people coming up, and you're trying to guess, are they for it or against it? So here comes this 87-year-old lady. It's taking her forever to get up there. And she gets up there and she starts talking and says, well, I live like within a half a mile of the site. So I'm thinking, okay, here we go. So she said, when I was growing up, women weren't allowed to race, but I've always wanted to drag race all my life. And all you people talking about the noise, that noise will be music to my ears. I mean, the place went crazy. We gave her a standing ovation. She was wonderful. So I don't know, between that and, the Long Island Needs a Drag Strip group, they've done a great job, bringing the issue to the front lines. And, hey, we got it.
Man, what good news in a time that we are hearing so many tracks being gobbled up that we would have thought they never would be gobbled up, like Atlanta Dragway. Imagine that. I mean, when it was built where it was, who would have thought there would be development issues 40 years down the road? And here y'all are winning, kind of taking something back. And instead of just an abandoned airbase sitting there, use it for some good, use it for some racing. That is spectacular. What are kind of the plans for the site?
Well, like I said, Lee, it's a 7,000-foot runway that we're going to be racing on. And think about this. This is where drag racing started. It started in the 50s on abandoned runways. They built all these runways for World War II and whatever. And once there was no use for them, that's where drag racing began. So Pete Scalzo, he's done this. I know the Voss boys speak very highly of him. He's done a track down by them. He's done a track in Miami. I believe he's had something in West Virginia. He is definitely the man to get this thing done. So matter of fact, right now, I'll be on the phone with him later on tonight. He's just getting back here now to Long Island with all the time and equipment and everything else that he needs. Our next step is to get barriers and put them in place. But it's going to be on the airstrip. It's not going to be Englishtown, that's for sure. But it's going to be a good local track to kind of just show the town what can be done, what the benefits of racing are, and to get these kids off the street. I mean, it's incredible how much street racing is going on here. And car shows. I mean, this is car culture on Long Island. You can go to a car show on a Tuesday night, and there's 700 cars there. So, it's going to be great to bring it back. The excitement is unbelievable. It's over the top. That's building for this thing. And, it's going to be primarily street cars. You have to have mufflers. But, hey, it's a start. That's the way I look at it.
Bingo. It is a start. And I know that kind of this going back grassroots drag racing has taken off well with many groups in many different places of going back to abandoned airfields or even small airstrips that are operating using a taxiway. I know a group that I've been involved with in the past, 585 Race Wars, around Brockport, New York. They use an active airfield on the taxiway. They got to stop the race when a plane comes in, type of deal. But they're doing something and providing something that for Brockport, New York, there's not much of that happening. So, for the folks on Long Island not having to go across a bridge to go anywhere, and I've crossed that bridge once. It takes a long time, no matter what time of the day or night it is. That is huge because car culture in New York, I was surprised when I moved up there just outside of Rochester and lived up there for 6 years. During the window that it's cruising weather and going out and, doing the car show thing weather, it is wild up there, the car culture, which, y'all have got the Syracuse Nationals. People should recognize it for what it is, but people love cars up there.
No doubt. And there's 7 million people on this little island, and where's 60, the site's going to be 65 miles from Manhattan. It's an ideal location. We get people coming from Connecticut by ferry, and, it's incredible the amount of people that we have and the excitement that's building around this racetrack. I think it's going to be, I don't know. I think they're going to have to close the gates for the first day. It's going to be crazy.
I will say that it will definitely be crazy. You think about, you just said 7 million people, one drag strip, and I think of the entire population of South Carolina is like 4.5 million, and South Carolina has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think at least 6 drag strips that you can attend. 3 being in the upstate of South Carolina alone, from what I can recall. And that's 4.5 million people.
Right.
And it's spread out. And not to mention, you throw in North Carolina with Mooresville and Farmingdale and all, Galat, so on. And it's just saturated. And then you've got a saturation of people and nowhere to go. So it's vital to have that. And kudos to the community to see the importance and work with you all. Again, especially in a time in which we're seeing Atlanta be lost to development. And I will just say the idiotic community leaders down there in southern Georgia with South Georgia Motorsports Park saying, oh, we're going to stipulate this crazy curfew on you, when there's nothing. I don't know when was the last time you were in southern Georgia, but I was born down there. I've drove through there, and it's nothing but cotton fields and pine trees and a swamp. Like that. What are you doing?
I know. I couldn't believe that when I read it. That's incredible. I've been down to that track a lot, and they do a great job at that facility. And I don't know. That's got to hurt. No matter how you look at it, it's got to hurt it.
Definitely. Well, John, look, it has been great to have you on the show. Definitely an honor of mine. I want to give you the last couple of minutes and just give you the floor to say thank you to whoever you need to say thank you to, say to your competitors that they just need to get off the track because you're going to win it all, or whatever you want to say. You take the floor, man.
Well, it's going to be interesting rest of the season. There's no doubt about it. I think, like I said, Pro Stock is probably as competitive as it's ever been. But, hey, we're a win waiting to happen. And I think with the next race or two, we're going to bring home that trophy. And, we'll be in contention by the time the season ends, no doubt about it. So to my competitors, hey, we'll see you out there. Let's see how it goes in Maryland. I think Maryland's going to be a great race for us. I think it's going to be a great race for PDRA, by the way, also. But, I got to thank my team and, everybody that stands by us. And, special thanks to Junior over there at Sonny's Racing Engines. He's really stepping up to the plate here and working overtime to make some more power on these engines. And, hey, that's about it. I think it's going to be a great year.
Yes, sir. Definitely so. John, thank you for coming on Between the Slicks. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you at the track soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, man. Folks, that was John Montecalvo, competitor in PDRA Extreme Pro Stock, champion in the world of mountain motor pro stock. Thank you all for coming and watching Between the Slicks with yours truly, the Monday Morning Racer. Next week, episode number 52, a year's worth of content. I cannot believe it. It's going to be special, but maybe not for the reason you might think. I'll be traveling to Norwalk, Ohio for the national event there. Definitely looking forward to getting back to the track. PDRA, hope you enjoy Maryland. Folks, be right back here Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Between the Slicks. Until next time, I'm the Monday Morning Racer. God bless and keep the pedal to the metal.